Hey guys, I'm Ben, a lawyer from Singapore. Today we'll discuss the critical legal issues that every business owner should consider when selling their business. First issue to consider on the list is due diligence. The buyer of your business will usually conduct a thorough investigation of your business financial, legal, and operational aspects. You should prepare this process by gathering all the necessary documents, including financial statements, contracts, and compliance records. This process helps the buyer to identify any potential red flags that could derail the sale. Next is the valuation of your business. Valuing your business accurately is a critical step in the selling process. There are several methods to determine the value of your business, each with its own approach and advantages. Let's explore the most common valuation methods. The three primary methods of valuation of a business are the asset-based approach, the market approach, and the income approach. Let's break down each one. The first method we have is the asset-based approach. This method calculates the value of your business by summing up all its assets and then subtracting all its liabilities. It's particularly useful for businesses with significant tangible assets, such as real estate or equipment. There are two main types of asset-based valuations. The first type is the going concern method, which assumes the business will continue to operate and values assets at their book value. The second type is the liquidation method, which assumes the business will be sold off with assets valued at their liquidation prices. Let's discuss the market approach. This method compares your business to similar businesses that have been recently been sold in the same industry. It's like using comps, C-O-M-P-S, comps in real estate, where the price of your property is based on the prices of recently sold homes that are similar to the property you're trying to buy or sell in terms of location, size, condition, and features. The idea is to determine what the market is willing to pay for a business like yours. This approach is useful when there's sufficient data on comparable sales, and is often favored by buyers who want to see what similar businesses are worth. The third method is the income approach. This method values your business based on its ability to generate future income. There are two key variations. The first variation of the income approach is the discounted cash flow analysis. This projects your business's future cash flows and then discounts them back to their present value using a discount rate. It's ideal for businesses with strong, predictable cash flows. The second variation is the capitalization of earnings, which takes the current year's earnings and divides them by a capitalization rate to estimate the value. It's much more simpler than the discounted cash flow method, but assumes that earnings will remain stable over time. The third issue to consider for business owners who want to sell their business is a sale and purchase agreement, which I shall abbreviate as SPA, Sale and Purchase Agreement. This is the primary document that outlines the terms and conditions of the sale. It covers important aspects such as the purchase price, the payment terms, and the closing date. Closing date is the date where the buyer pays the seller the money for the business, and the seller issues the share certificates, the board resolutions, the shareholders' resolutions, the company's seal, all the books and all that. That is called closing date or the completion date. So you sign the SPA, let's call it T, okay? T. You sign the SPA on the date that is T. And then there's this thing called conditions precedent. That means things that have to be fulfilled before completion. You can watch my earlier video on conditions precedent. Conditions precedent. And then there is completion date. So completion date always occurs after T, okay? Completion date is where the formal exchange happens and the buyer becomes a new owner of the business. You should always make sure that this agreement, this SPA, is comprehensive and protects your interests, whether you're a buyer or seller. For a seller, you want to give as little warranties as possible. You can watch my earlier video on the warranties. And you should ideally have a limitation of liability schedule to limit your liability in the unfortunate event that the buyer takes over your business and then discovers problems with it that even you are not aware of and then sues you for it. You want to limit your liability for such claims. You definitely don't want to sell your business for $1 million But then 6 months later down the road, you get sued for $3 million because the buyer discovered something wrong with your company. Fourth on the list is dealing with employment contracts and obligations. When selling your business, it is crucial to review all employment agreements and understand your obligations towards your employees. This would include severance packages, unpaid leave, and other benefits. Make sure you comply with the local employment laws to avoid potential lawsuits from employees. In Singapore, sellers of business should take note of Section 18A of the Employment Act. Number 5, don't overlook intellectual property rights. Ensure that all intellectual property assets such as trademarks, patents, copyrights are properly registered and transferred to the buyer. This adds value to your business and ensures that the buyer has the legal right to use these assets. Finally, consider any necessary regulatory approvals. Depending on your industry, you might need to obtain certain licenses or approvals from the different regulatory bodies before the sale can be completed. Ensure that all regulatory requirements are met to avoid any legal complications. To conclude, selling a business involves navigating several legal complexities. But by paying attention to due diligence, valuation, the SPA, limitation of liability, and regulatory approvals, you can ensure a smoother transaction. Thank you for watching. See you in the next video.